Yeah, there were some there aren't a lot of pictures of like the really technical sections. I really am thankful for. I think my guide took this one as Wells and I on the traverse below the Lhotse face. So if you saw the valley looked kind of pleasant, kind of nice, a nice long approach, and then things get steep, and they get really steep. And this is the beginning of that section.
How many people were left at this point?
There were 6 at this point. It's 6.
So you started with how many?
Sorry, say it again.
What made the others turn around?
We lost some teammates for a couple different reasons. We had a few medical situations. We had one pulmonary embolism. We had like a twisted ankle. But honestly, and this may sound sarcastic, but like in the military, we would call it lack of motivation when someone would want to ring that bell, quit whatever Ranger School or whatever you're doing. I think people got spooked. I think there were a couple who, they were really good athletes. They were like 20-time marathoners or whatever, had incredible confidence, and they had this athletic background. But the altitude, I think, spooked a lot of people when they realized you're constantly waking up, gasping for air, and you're constantly just trying to solve different problems. And there's always something you have to fix. And I think that really started to wear on a few of our teammates, a few of the 9 that we started with.
Was it always their decision to turn around, or do you guys?
It was, and the guides and the support team, like they would, we'd all say, we're here for you, like what can we do? But ultimately, it was their decision, and
They're not the medical one.
no, the medical, yes, yeah, that was directed to fly down, but we lost. I think people just got spooked, to be honest. I think like dark nights, moving at night, the crevasses. I think the ice fall took a mental toll on everybody. There's some unfortunate things you see. There's a couple bodies that are on the mountain that are just beyond a point where it's feasible to retrieve and repatriate. I think that spooked a few people. I didn't like it. It wasn't pleasant. But ultimately, it's just feels like a different world up there, and I think some people just weren't able to process. There was one.
Were there enough people to take them back down then?
Yes, there was always someone to escort them down. This was up at Camp 3. Finally made it. We made it. The second rotation we attempted to make it. The goal was to make it without oxygen, up to like 24,000 feet, and that was the moment where they say the odds really go up. If you can make it to that point, it goes from whatever the odds they report. People say like 50% or just under 50%. At that point, if you make it to that point, they're like, things are looking good. Things are moving in your favor. Back in the tent, loving life.
Andrew, what's the reason for like going without oxygen up to 24 versus 21 or something like that? Is there something that you're building in yourself at that point?
Exactly. It's that natural acclimatization. It's like flying out to Colorado and spending a day in Denver versus just going straight to Breckenridge or wherever you're going skiing. Yeah. It's that natural process that's going to take you further. And if you skimp on that, and then you start to rely on supplemental oxygen as a Band-Aid, that's when people can get into trouble, because those issues are harder to identify higher on the mountain. So natural acclimatization was the primary reason. We had finally made it to Camp 4. We were on the summit push, loving life at this point. We're on oxygen. Wells has got a screaming headache. I've got a headache. Both had to go to the bathroom, but we just didn't want to go. We just held it for like an entire day. And it was really quick. Everything, the summit push was kind of go, go, go. There's really no dilly-dallying. We had a plan. We had to stick to it. We got to Camp 4, the high camp, at 26,000 feet. And that's when it's like game on. If you've ever heard of the death zone, there's 14 mountains in the world that are above 26,000 feet. And they say that's the point at which the human body truly cannot survive. And you begin to decay at that point, even if you're on supplemental oxygen. and that's when the clock is on. So we arrived at 11 a.m. and they said, you have 8 hours. We're gonna leave at, yeah, we left around 8 p.m., maybe 9 hours. Eat, sleep, fix things, prep, repack your bag, you know, get the snacks in the right spot, get the water, all the water bottles are frozen, so we're like pouring boiling hot water. We didn't have a ton, we were trying to like use it sparingly. And then, yeah, we attempted to sleep, we agreed, we were like, let's try to be quiet for 3 hours. The alarm went off, I was like, did you fall asleep? He goes, no, did you? I said, absolutely not. Yeah, no sleep was had at 26,000 feet. But it was just nice to like lay down. We had been climbing for, I think that the day before, it was like a 10 or 11 hour day to get from Camp 3 to Camp 4, just on a slope like this for just hours. And so we finally made it. This was Camp 4. People always ask about the trash. Is there trash on Everest? I really thought the mountain was completely beautiful. What people complain about is this one spot. It's really not that bad. There's tents. There are tents from previous years that have blown, they've broken, they've been buried. There were tents, but I never walked past like a big trash pile. I never walked past like a pile of human waste or anything like that. Like this is where I think that rumor kind of perpetuates, but it really wasn't that bad.
Was it snowing and cold? I mean, obviously.
It was, yes. Yeah, it was snowing. And then we made the push. Started at 8:30, went for about 10 hours, maybe like 9.5 hours. We, just because of the slope, so we picked this day in particular. Everyone has seen the lines, the big queues of climbers trying to make the summit. We didn't want to deal with that. And at this point, we only had the 4 of us, and everyone was in somewhat decent shape at that point, but had the confidence that we could climb in inclement weather. So they presented an opportunity for us to climb in 60 to 70 mile per hour winds and negative 50-degree temperatures. But they said, you're not going to wait in any lines. It's up to you guys. We thought if we kept moving, we really, Wells was about to be a dad. Everyone else had family to get home to, and we were like, we don't want to risk. There is a huge risk to standing still at 28,000 feet on Mount Everest, and we didn't want any part of it. And so we took it. And they told us we have a 45-minute window of daylight from 6 when it comes up to 6:45. At 6:45, the winds are going to go to 100 miles per hour, and we need to be down below 28.5 before 7 a.m. So somehow the team pulled together, threaded the needle, and I think this picture was probably taken around 5:50 a.m. My headlamp's still on, which is ruining the picture, and we're just seeing first light over Tibet, to the right side of me. So I'm on the national border between Nepal and China, in this picture. And to the right is Tibet, and to the left is Nepal, and both are 5,000 foot down straight drop if you slip. So there are tons of ropes up there, and I was holding on for dear life with both hands. And this was also the section known as the Hillary Step, named after Sir Edmund Hillary. Kind of the final big challenge to get to the summit.
Andrew, can I ask a question? I've
Yes.
heard some videos that some people have said the step was destroyed by an earthquake,
It
and the
was.
government is saying it isn't because they don't want to destroy. What I was just looking at one
It
last
was
night about
it was drastically changed for the better for climbers. So
better?
it used to be another wall, like another vertical wall, that was known as the Hillary Step, and there was an earthquake, a big earthquake in Nepal in 2015 that rocked Everest, and the Hillary Step crumbled. And it's now a series of rolling.
So it's easier now.
It is easier.
Okay.
It is
so
easier.
it is true that it did.
It is true, absolutely, and there's no denying it. And to do that, to negotiate a 40-foot wall at 28,900 feet, there's a lot going on there. So I'm super thankful.
What are you hoping to?
Still.